Your love is like a drug, cocaine. I'm driving on the road, I'm lost. I'm in between, my heart is racing. Adrenaline, I love it when you call me crazy. Cause I'm addicted, baby. Take in, take out. I rise up, then I fall down. Breathe in and breathe out. It's a blackout. It's a blackout.
It's a blackout. Hopefully you like that rendition. That was SWISSA. I'm going to leave that link for that song in this video description in case you want to click on that, listen to it again. Pretty badass song. It's a blackout. This is all that's been coming my way as of late for the past 2 weeks. And I didn't even want to decode this. I had no intentions of decoding the Eclipse. Wasn't interested, honestly, at first. And then I just went with what I was being told, what I was being shown. And here we are. We're gonna break this thing down like you've never seen before. I can promise you. I know you've seen a lot of videos, probably breaking this down from many decoders, maybe astrologers. I'm gonna show you my very best material. I'm going to show you the craziest synchronicities that you've ever seen in your life when it comes to mainstream chemistry, astrology, numerology, dates on the calendar, etc. Groups of people on the calendar. Like a lot of people think these specific groups running this reality. Well, I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care how high up in the pyramid you are. Mankind's being used. Yeah, we all have roles, but I don't care how high of an organization there is on the world stage. They are not in control of this reality. That is my final answer. That is what the research and the code shows over and over and over. We live in a predestined, scripted reality. You're living out your screenplay just like they are. So if you're somebody who wants to point fingers and say, well, it's them, it's they, okay, great. They're executing some of the things on the world stage, but they are not in control of the blueprint because mankind's mind is not their own. Okay, I just wanted to start that off with this. Maybe you're new here, and I'm going to get very raw and visceral. You may not like my tone. You may not like my hair. Who knows? You may not like the backdrop. I don't know. There may be something that I just rub you the wrong way. I stand in the research. I stand in the truth as a decoder, and this is my truth and my foundation. I want to be very crystal clear is that, you see, my truth doesn't have to necessarily mean that it's going to be your truth. So if you don't agree with this material, great. No problem. I'm all about live and let live. Maybe this is not the channel for you. It's not for everybody. All right, so I just want to put those disclaimers out there. This is my truth, the research from the code that I'm showing. This is my job. I'm a tour guide, and my responsibility is to show you how this reality works. What you do with this information is going to be completely up to you. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm wearing the sunglasses is not to look cool, but I'm just this little mock-up here is to remind you that you're inside of a movie. This is a movie. You're being watched. So the next time you get the shades drawn and you're doing the cha-cha-cha, I guarantee you something's watching you. Okay? Remember that song, Rockwell, Somebody's Watching Me? All right, let me take them off. So that's my little prop to remind you you're inside of a movie, okay? Truman Show tried to tell you this. There's been many songs, other movies that are telling you that you're inside of a movie. And what's coming up on the world stage with this April eclipse on the 8th is going to usher in some energy. Now, I will specifically tell all of you, I'm not going to predict specific dates on the calendar. I'm not even going to say that anything will happen on the eclipse. Of course, you go back and you do the research on these eclipses, and usually nothing happens on these days of the eclipses, total eclipses, lunar, solar, etc. So maybe nothing will happen, but rest assured, the focal point and the energy that has been on this eclipse has been the most I've ever seen since I've been alive and doing decoding and looking at all this astrological stuff and astronomy and et cetera, et cetera. This is the most, there's all these theological, biblical references. I'm going to show you some aspects of astrology. As I told you, I'm going to show you the chart of April 8th. I'm going to show you some other charts as well. I'm going to bring mainstream into this. I'm going to show you how the movies have been instigating the magic and the energy to be on the upcoming change in the ages that we're moving through. See, the simplicity of magic is that energy goes where your attention flows. So if you watch and tune into a movie, you're giving it your energy. I don't care how you feel about it. You may not like the movie. When your eyes are glued on a movie, you're giving it energy and you're feeding it and you're help promulgating it, deliver its manifestations on the world stage. That's just the basic 101 how magic works. It's just energy. That's all it is. The Star Wars has said it was the Force. You do whatever the hell you want to do with it. But the bottom line is magic is simply the exchange of energy with focus and intention. So if you're watching, and it's inevitable, folks, you're gonna be influenced by something. Maybe you're an influencer, but you're gonna be paying attention to certain marketing layers in this reality. A lot of you have been I've been following a lot of the social media, and we all do this. So I'm not being immune to this. Is that we find something that we like, and we end up putting it back out on the world stage and sharing it, as they say. Let's share it. And when you share it, you are a marketer for whatever you're sharing. And so whatever's behind the marketing, whatever started the origin of the marketing is laughing at the bank because they're getting you as an employee absolutely free without any money exchange at all. And we're all into this, folks. We're all part of this whole process. But the research shows, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in a Ponzi scheme. We live in a pyramid scheme. And mankind is not in control of this reality. That is what the research shows. And I would take all of my discoveries and bring it to a court of law if I had to defend that or put it onto offense against anybody's research out there. That's how confident I am in the research that I've been showing over 500 videos, doing this over a decade now. And the research is showing this. We live in a predestined reality. So this is nothing new under the sun, no pun intended, with this April 8th eclipse. Okay? So I'll be looking at my screen. I'll be taking a look at some of your comments. Let me pop out the chat here and get it in the middle of my screen. And I will be looking at some comments after we do this presentation. So I'll answer this question because Aaron G asked, Logan, what about your research quantifies that you are a puppet rather than a puppet master? 1,000%. You know what the research shows, Aaron, and everybody wanting to listen to this comment? Every single one of you is a non-player character. You are a NPC. Now, I know that's going to rub some of you the wrong way. I'm going to get a thumbs down. I don't care. I'm not in this for the likes or subscriptions. Doesn't matter to me. I'm here to give you what the research shows. And I'm telling you that you're a non-player character just like everybody else. Just like even the people at the hierarchy positions that think they're controlling shit, they're not. They're not controlling anything. They are little puppets on strings, and that's exactly the way this works. Especially all the politics, and they're all working for the same boss. And they're not in control of this reality. Democrat, Republican, if you're in the US, two sides of the same coin, one and the same. Of course, they just want you to pick sides so they can get your energy, and that's how this whole thing works. Energy exchange, the simplicity of it. I will be coming out with a decode on non-player character. You don't want to miss that one. I'm going to break it down like nobody's ever broken it down before. There's a lot of regurgitation with non-player character. People saying, oh, I'm not an NPC, but my neighbor is, or my this is that, or they're an... How do you determine someone as an NPC? Well, the regurgitation is they're asleep. Or they're a robot or a clone or something, whatever, however you quantify the NPC aspect. But you see, the research shows that you're being controlled, and the mind that you have, the thoughts that come into your mind, where are they coming from? Have you ever logically sat down and thought about, yeah, where are my thoughts coming from? Well, they're coming from somewhere, that's for sure. Have you ever thought about that? So the thoughts in your head, that is what controls you, because you act on these ideas. And you have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. We can get into psychology. Conscious mind saying 10%, we use 10% of the brain, 90% of it is subconscious. You act by reaction. You give no thought of how you behave. You just react without ever thinking because you're programmed to do that. Can we take that power back and move into complete power, or will we use 100% of our brain and move out of a non-player character situation? Time will tell. I'm a fan of that, right? Because obviously you want to be in control of your life. But the research shows otherwise. Now, you don't have to do anything with that. You don't have to, tune out and say, well, this guy's an idiot. And if you're new here, great, welcome out. Again, I'm very raw. I give it to you like it is. I don't sugarcoat anything. But the foundations of this reality and how it works is that mankind is being used, and there's no exceptions to that. There are no organizations or groups on the world stage that get a hall pass from that. Like, oh, they have an exemption. No, there's no exemptions. The research, I've broken down over 500 videos, people, places, and things showing that from the CIA to MK Ultra program, all of these people that created these programs, that are working through these programs, they're being used to work through these programs. That's what the research shows. So welcome to the club of perhaps taking that into consideration. It's a fun way to look at life because then there's no competition. Just go do you. You see, the key to your beautiful bliss reality is knowing what you came here and what your incarnation is designed for. That's the beauty in this reality. So with this April 8th eclipse coming out, this total solar eclipse, it is obviously in line with what's coming out on the world stage, and a lot of these movies, as I mentioned, and music are promulgating that to get the magic and move this. And even if you're somebody who is not a fan of the collective, the mainstream, well, that's what kind of moves this reality. You can be outside of that and just say, I don't want to be on the court and play, which is where I feel is the best place to be on the court like a judge. When you go to court, you're on the court. You're either a plaintiff or a defendant or an attorney. You're on the court. That's why you go to court. But the judge is outside of the court. The judge is at the bar above. And he's not or she's not part of the court. You want to be the judge position. And of course, then you don't want to judge people. when you're an observer. But most people are programmed to judge, criticize, critique, and say that that is BS if they're not in line with your truth, and I get that. So we're going to talk all about this. This is all going to come around, Robin. It's going to start to make sense for all of you with this presentation on the April 8th. Okay. And then I'll get into some questions a little bit later on. Okay. All right. So let me start with. Let me jump right into this, and let me start with the. Hang on one sec. Let me get my screen settled here. Okay. So here we go. I had AI draw this up, and I've been decoding for a very long time now, and recently, probably within the past year especially, there's been a main focal point on the extinction of fiat currency. There has been a main focal point of moving this reality into digital cryptocurrency. Okay? There's been a main focal point of that. So if you're somebody, I broke down like the Denver Nuggets when they beat the Miami Heat for the NBA championship. The Denver Nuggets, they're the miners. They were mining for gold. The Super Bowl, same thing. The Chiefs, so the Chiefs and the 49ers, same thing, same scenario. It's all cryptocurrency. The focal point is cryptocurrency. The extinction of fiat currency and moving into cryptocurrency. And so all the movies and the music and the sports, these are major influencers and marketers to get your energy to promulgate this mission of the consciousness moving towards cryptocurrency and the removal of fiat currency. I mean, think of this image here. Who uses a Rand McNally map, the big book we used to use to try to get around the streets? No, we use navigation now. So the Rand McNally map would be paper, and it's gone. We don't really use them anymore, maps. We don't use 8-tracks and records, most people anyway. I know they're still around, but I'm talking about the averages, cassettes and CDs. Those are hard copies. We don't use those anymore. We've moved to MP3, digital. We're moving into a perfected society because you can use the digital filters to make yourself look perfect. Okay, this is the reality that we're moving into, folks. And it doesn't need your consent to move into it. All right, so without further ado, let me get into the methodologies, just a simple overview of how I decode. And I'm just going to tell all of you, it's very simple. You can take something that's big on the world stage and apply it to this methodology, and I promise you it will connect. All we're going to do, it's like putting a puzzle together, and the numbers are all you have to match up. That's it. It's not that difficult. So as you can see, I can take numerology here, the science of numbers. I'm using, this is called Chaldean. It's the oldest numerology cipher in the world. The research says this is the oldest. I'm not saying it has to be the very best, but this is the one I use the most out of any of them. There are many of them. So Chaldean is the oldest. This is where we're going to start. This is going to be called the Blackout. So Blackout is 28. So I'm going to start there. And then I can go and I can take the elements on the periodic table. Maybe you're like, why would you do that? I'm going to show you why I'm going to do that. We're made up of a lot of these elements. A lot of these elements are essential for our lives. But the periodic table is a big proponent, and it connects a lot of dots in this reality. I'm going to show you how it connects the total solar eclipse. So you can see that this element nickel, okay, it's got 28 protons. And it has several isotopes, which would be what this is right here. It's called the atomic mass or isotope. This is isotope 60, okay? And I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. But isn't it interesting that a 5-cent piece from the United States, this is the Buffalo nickel, okay? The 5-cent piece. Why the 5-cent piece? Because it's a nickel. And what is 5 linked to? 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. In astrology, up here, The fifth zodiac sign is Leo the lion, which is ruled by the sun. Nickel, 5. This is Jesus and Lucifer, folks. You can link theology to this just like you can anything else. It's just that simple. Jesus is the light of the world. Lucifer is the light bringer. The sun, the sun, the sun. Then I can take this through mathematics and I can start looking at prime numbers. And you can see that this 281 is the 60th prime number, which matches that isotope of nickel, which is tied to the protons, which is tied to blackout. This is how simple it is. So mathematics to alchemy or science and the science of numbers numerology. You can see that the 28 is in there. It's just a 1 added on top of that. So anytime you get a combination of numbers, if this number is in there, it has merit and it can be decoded and it can be connected to it. If you take 281 and you add it to the number 60, 281 plus 60 is going to give you 341. And 341 is a permutation, or otherwise known as a number anagram, of 3.14, which is pi, which is Earth. Earth is pi, the perfect circle. This 60 can also be tied to the tarot cards. The 60th card in the tarot deck is the 10 of Swords. And you can see that this card clearly represents death. This person is impaled with 10 swords. And this has massive significance for this presentation, and I will show you that connection in just a little bit. We can also take this element right here called radium, which is the Egyptian sun god. Now we can get into Egyptian stuff, and we can get into Ra, radium. Notice it has 88 protons. And if I go back here to nickel, and I take 28 and add it to the number 60, which is the neutrons, protons, and electrons for nickel 60, you get the number 88. So we have Ra, the sun god, going all the way back to nickel, which is the 5-cent piece, which is Leo the lion ruled by the sun, and the blackout is including the sun of the solar eclipse. Then we add in mainstream here. So I have the bridge collapsed. All of you probably by now should know about this bridge collapse. It will be part of this decode. And does anybody remember what time the bridge was hit? 1:28 a.m. and there's the 128. So you can see, folks, you see, if you think man's running this, they would have to get all these layers connected like this to get it just right. And all the people would have to be in place. All the characters, all the ship crew, everybody would have to be in on the conspiracy. And I just don't buy that. I think that is absolutely absurd to think that man's controlling this reality and ushering out the blueprint. They are just simply using their minds, and that is it. And their minds are not their own. So this is the methodology that we're going to get into. And I will also mention that Ra 226, if you take 88 and you add 226, which is the neutrons, protons, and electrons, you're going to get 314, which is pi itself. Remember this right here, when you add that up, that's going to give you 341, which is a permutation of 314. You see how all this is connected, all of it. And this is going to sandwich in the middle the 10 of swords, the 10, the binary system, the zeros and the ones. Okay, the zeros and the ones, and you're going to see what's tied to this kind of stuff. So let's start with this 281, the collapse of the Dolly ship hitting the bridge at 1:28 a.m. Here it is. Big shout out to Donut if you follow his research. Got this off of his Facebook. He posted this, and he had showed that the bridge collapse was at 1:28 a.m. And that's a permutation of when Netflix released Leave the World Behind on 12/8. So you see how these numbers match up like that along with this? And you see, because this is the 60th prime and this is the 60th card, well, this means complete death. Leave the world behind. These are all clues. Okay? And then in the background right there, there's a stag, a deer. What does that animal signify? Well, I'm going to tell you in just a little bit. And there'll be no doubt anymore. Zero doubt of how all this stuff plays out. And a lot of you watched this movie, so a lot of you gave it your energy, and it's using and harvesting energy to promulgate all these things to happen. Okay? Also, something else that is very important to look at for this upcoming eclipse, which has everything to do with cryptocurrency, is Cryptopia. This documentary that I covered, they showed this locker number 821, where they put the money in the locker. They were talking about taking the exchange and the coins and moving them into the lockers. This was the locker that they specifically showed. See the number there? 821, 12-8, 128, 821, 281. See how all this stuff starts to connect? All you have to do, folks, if you want to start to be a decoder, all you got to do is connect the numbers. It's not that difficult. But you have to be consciously awake, and you need to pay attention to the numbers and the symbols and letters that are being shown, because they can be missed. Okay? So now the people that are part of this documentary, Torsten Hoffman, who created this, he would have to be in on the conspiracy. Okay? They all have to be in on the conspiracy. So let's get into Leave the World Behind, because this was a big marker. Now, it was released on December 8th, the 128, on Netflix, but the original release date, I got it circled and highlighted, was on October 25th, 2023 at the AFI Festival, the world premiere. October 25th. That actually has 3 dates, and when you add those numbers up, you're going to get some significance as well, because 25 plus 22 is 47, plus the 8 there is going to, when you add up all these numbers, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get a big number that you can take into consideration. I'm going to leave that with all of you, but that's just a little bit of a hint there. But this October 25th date, the release date, is a big humdinger because it's tied to the word in numerology, crypto. And see, this whole movie was about leaving behind fiat currency. That is what the energy wanted to do, to push out on the world stage, and what it was all about. Now, obviously, there were some things in there that had to do with, the ending of things and, wars and craziness. Yeah, I'm sure all that stuff is possibly on the world stage. But that is going to promulgate and move into what the plan is, which is digital currency, cryptocurrency. That is why it came out on October 25th. I broke this down twice, this movie. I have Leave the World Behind Part 1 and Part 2. You should check them out if you haven't seen them. Okay? So when you do the numerology of Leave the World Behind, you get the number 78, which is very interesting because the numerology for the date October 25th, 2023 is a number 78. How about that? Is this just a mere coincidence? And of course, it's Chaldean numerology once again coming through, not English, not septenary, not these reverses and all these other things if you're a decoder. No, Chaldean numerology. So if anybody's using this consciously, they're going to be using Chaldean numerology. And this is the 78th card in the tarot deck called the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is the king of money. So if you start to use your logic and your discernment here, you have the king of money, and this is saying leave it behind. What is it telling all of us? The removal of fiat currency. Even the director, Sam Esmail, his birthday, I think it was July 19th, it's the Bible, the Leviticus 7 verses 19. It says, that talks about they'll be throwing their silver into the streets and their gold will have no more value. He's got the birthday of that scripture. So now Sam would have to be in on the conspiracy. He was the director of Mr. Robot, which was all about moving into cryptocurrency. And his name is Sam. Samarium, if you know what the periodic table is all about. This is all part of this, folks. I'm telling you, this code is so funny if you ask me. So what about this rock band called the Scorpions? Love the Scorpions. Been a fan of the Scorpions since I knew music in the 80s. This album came out in 1982. 1982. March 29th, 1982, which means it's 42 years old. And the funny thing is, look at what's on the guy's eyes. How about these are being the glasses you would wear to protect your eyes to look at a total eclipse? I mean, seriously, that's how deep this goes. Blackout. And you see, when you do the calendar dates for October 25th, for Leave the World Behind, the original release date, it's the 298th day of the year, but it leaves 67 days left until the end of the year, and you have a complete blackout. 67. There's the blackout, but you have a complete blackout. And complete is 39, and that's the King of Diamonds, which is the King of Pentacles. Okay? King of Diamonds is card 39, complete blackout. 67 is holmium if you've been paying attention on the periodic table. So this is where it gets super interesting. Is that the April 8th date on the calendar, now 2024 is a leap year. So it's the 99th day of the year, and October 25th in 2023 is a common year. So it's the 298th day of the year. And when you add those up, 99 plus 298, you're going to get 397, and you just go right to mathematics to see if it's any significance, and of course it is. It's a freaking prime number. Prime numbers are standalone numbers. And it's the 78th prime number, which matches Leave the World Behind. You see? So that's why I have the money here. Because this total eclipse, this solar eclipse, is going to promulgate the removal of fiat currency. And then you're going to get all the ramifications that are going to come with that, of course. Right? You're going to have we have all these possibilities on the world stage. And of course, if you take 8 and you add 25, simple math, what's 25 and 8? 33. Uh-oh, there's that notorious 33. And a lot of you are going to instantly, there's the Masons and the Jesuits and la. Okay? That's what a lot of you are going to say that, but 33 is tied to arsenic, and it's tied to poison, and it's tied to death. That's what it leads to. Now, a humdinger here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to now bring the tarot cards into this for the days on the calendar to show you how ridiculously scripted all of this is. So we know that April 8th is the King of Pentacles, which is card number 78. October 25th, which is the Leave the World Behind premiere at the AFI Festival, is the 10 of Cups. Another 10. This is card number 46. And when we add up 78 and 46, we get 124. What is the big deal about the 124? How about when the complete blackout was stated here on this ship, the Dolly? At 1:24 a.m., the ship suffered a complete blackout. 124. 124. Do you think this is just an accident? And do you think that mankind's actually sitting down with the tarot cards and the dates? And yeah, I'm sure they're doing certain things on certain dates. There's absolutely that. But again, I go back to the mind of man is not their own. I don't care what organization you belong to. But this was a very big obvious thing here. And there's the blackout. So what did this bridge collapse signify? The sun. I'm going to show you how all this stuff works in just a little bit. So I told you I would talk about this stag. What is this big deer with antlers? What does this signify? Well, ladies and gentlemen, how about Deer Island? See, the Deer Island is where the Skull and Bones retreat is at. So now you know, probably, I'm saying probably because I can't guarantee it or prove it, but obviously, and you got to understand that Skull and Bones' job is death. Their job is to remove the deadwood, to make the change happen. That's why they get the bad rap. Now, I'm not a proponent of any organization. I am not excusing any organization, but I do know how this reality works, and this reality works on death and regeneration. And when you know how this reality works, you will no longer point fingers, and you'll no longer do the blame game and all that other nonsensical stuff. That, to me, is you're completely asleep if you're still doing that. But this is the connections that I wanted to show all of you. So now you know when you see that deer and stag, you can see that it's connected to Deer Island. I've already decoded the Skull and Bones organization in one of my decodes last year, and I showed that that organization was not in control of their organization, period. No one gets a hall pass. So now we get into the Economist magazine, 1988. 1988. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you see the big 10 on the coin? Well, that's the binary system, and that's the golden ratio. But that 10, why the 10? Well, consider that the 10 of swords is the 60th card. I already showed you what this was tied to in the very beginning. But consider, ladies and gentlemen, that it's connected to this element called neodymium. And neodymium has an isotope of 142, which is tied to the number 821. Remember that 821? Leave the world behind, 12-8, locker 821. The bridge, 1:28 a.m., collapsing. You see how all this works? It's all about death and regeneration. This 10 of swords converts into the 10 of spades, which is card 49, and there you go. So now and obviously, what is their job? This. Okay? The removal. And obviously what we're doing is we're get ready for a one world currency. Remember how big that 60 was? I'm going to go back up here. Right here, nickel 60. See how it's all connected? And this methodology, ladies and gentlemen, I've done it hundreds and hundreds of videos. This is not a one-hit wonder here. It's not the first time I've done this. I've done it in hundreds of videos, and there are so many other decoders that have been doing this just like I'm doing it. So I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to definitely come back to this. And neodymium is tied to the Great Pyramid of Giza, 29 degrees north latitude, 31 degrees east, 29 and 31 is 60. It's tied to the pyramids. That's why I had the pyramid at the beginning. Okay, that's why I had the pyramid in the beginning. So, is 2024 the big marker for the Phoenix to actually rise? That's the question. Now, this magazine came out in 1988. Remember that Ra is 88. This is 88 when you add it up. Okay? Nickel, the sun. Ra, the sun. See what I'm saying? And we have a total eclipse, which is a solar eclipse. The sun, the sun, the sun. Well, the Phoenix is tied to Jesus Christ because Jesus Christ is 36. What do you think Jesus is tied to? The sun. I am the light of the world. I did a decode already on that. The light of the world ends up becoming 226 in numerology, which is the isotope of radium and Ra. And if you take 2024 and you subtract 1988, you get 36. Is this going to be the year of the Phoenix? This is the number 8, by the way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 19 is the 8th prime number. I'm going to show you that in just a little bit. So let's get into this now for a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a spin. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this. I didn't find this, and I don't remember who I found it from, so I'm just regurgitating this, and I don't take credit for it, but it was a massive, massive find, and because of this, whoever it was that shared it with me, thank you so very much. It was on Facebook that I found it, but I can't remember the person's name, and I couldn't go back and find the post, so I can't give credit, but it was not me. But what about this? The Federal Reserve, which we know the United States dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency. That is over. The days are done. Okay? Nothing lasts forever. But the Federal Reserve, how big is this? Well, when you take the eclipse date on April 8th, 2024, and you subtract 12/23/1913 when this organization was created, look at the days. Look at the total days, folks. 40,284. What do you see there? Every single number of the total eclipse. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing these numbers. So, are we going to see the end of this? Well, again, this is tied to fiat currency. And there's the eagle. Of course, the eagle's tied to the sun. It's tied to Scorpio. But this was huge, huge. And this is very big, these numbers, because 23 and 8 is 238, and 238 is uranium. I hope I remember that at the very end of this presentation. So here is the astrological map for the birthing of the Federal Reserve System in the United States in 1913. Notice that it was formed on the 23rd, which matches the word Bitcoin, which was the first cryptocurrency on the world stage in 2009. Not an accident. Now, there's a lot going on here, and I'm not going to go over everything for time's sake here. But the one thing that I do want to point out is this position right here. This is the north and south node of the moon, otherwise known as Rahu and Ketu, which are big proponents of pushing this reality and moving it forward. Rahu representing the ultimate desire. Well, the ultimate desire was in the 25th nakshatra. And 25, I just, as a decoder, I'm not just looking at the definitions of what Purva is all about. I'm also looking at what I can connect to it. Synchronization. Well, there you go. You see, the United States reserve currency was already set up to move their currency into cryptocurrency all the way back to 1913. I can guarantee you that's a part of this, what this whole thing means right here. And you could see that the axis that it was in is in the Leo Aquarius axis, which is seemingly the axis that we're in right now, with Aquarius being the age of Aquarius and not what we're being in. But this forms a symbiotic relationship with one another. Leo, which is the sun, ruled by the sun, and Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. Now, I know some of you would say, well, it's Saturn and it's co-ruled. Okay, fair enough. But Uranus, to me, really represents the ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is an electrical planet, and it represents heaven. Uranus, 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 Uranus. Okay? This is what this whole thing is talking all about. There's a lot of layers here, with Pluto and Mars being here in the sign of Gemini, Gemini being a Mercury-ruled position, Mercury and Venus being here in Scorpio. Scorpio is the eagle right on the symbol or the logo of the Federal Reserve. You just got to know what you're looking at. In Scorpio, this was at 9 a.m., so I don't know what time exactly this was founded time-wise, but I just did 9 a.m. because that's what business usually opens up. And you know what's in the sign of Scorpio, which there's the eagle right on the logo. That's Scorpio. Well, you got Mercury, the messenger, the way you think, running commerce. Okay, Quicksilver running commerce, and you have Venus, which obviously is the Ankh and the love of money, etc., etc. And then you have the Sun inside the 19th nakshatra called Mula, which is the root, setting the root up right here. It's very easy to see this. And then Jupiter and Uranus, you have the grandfather and the grandson side by side in the sign of Capricorn, which is a Saturn-ruled energy. Saturn over here in Taurus. Taurus is currency in the bull. That's why the New York Stock Exchange is in Taurus. All you have to do is jump around. You can start to see how all this plays out. It's really simple once you can start to just jump around and know who the rulers of these zodiac signs are. It's very, very simple. Okay, but this thing was already set up in 1913 to move into cryptocurrency. It was already set up that way. Whether they knew it or not is irrelevant. It was already set up that way. That's why we can decode it and you can see it. Okay, that's why you can decode it and see it. So here is the solar eclipse astrological chart. A lot of stacking going on up there at the very top. Now this is, I think, at 3 p.m. or I think maybe even 1:30 p.m. All this energy here stacked up in Pisces. You have Neptune, you have Venus, you have Rahu, the sun, the moon, Mercury. They're all stacked here. And you see, what's the big significant aspect here is Rahu, once again, the desire, in the 27th nakshatra, currency. And right across the way is Ketu in the 13th nakshatra called Hasta, which is the hands, but this is the death card in the tarot. So this to me says the death of currency, the death of money. That Pisces is a paper astrology symbol. Pisces is fiat currency. Pisces is analog. Okay? You're getting out of that. You're moving into electrical, digital. This is analog. This is digital. And you can see right here on April 8th, Saturn, Kronos, the timekeeper, just moves into the 25th nakshatra, crypto, to set the timeline up in the aspects of Aquarius. And Mars is right on its tails, and that's of course the drive of energy, just ready to move into that. and I'm going to show you how big this is to bring it all home. You obviously have the other big takers here, Jupiter and Uranus. Remember, this planet, Uranus, is going to be the ruler of crypto. I decoded Crypto Kingdom Part 1 and Part 2, and it was all about uranium and Uranus. I'm going to show you this at the very end of this presentation. The electrical energy of Uranus. And Jupiter is his grandson. And they're both side by side during this eclipse, conjunct. They're both in the sign of Aries, which is a Mars-ruled energy. Then I come back over here. Mars is in Aquarius, which is what cryptocurrency is going to be in the age of Aquarius. So Mars rules Aries. Mars is over here with Saturn, setting up the timeline in Aquarius, in the 25th nakshatra, which matches crypto. But Jupiter and Uranus, its grandfather and grandson, sitting inside the sign of Aries, which is fire. And it's in Bharani. And Bharani is Yama, the god of death. But it's also the destroyer, but the bringer of life as well. And this is a Pluto energy, Yama. So where's Pluto? Right here, in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is the earth, and Capricorn represents money and currency and real estate and finances. And Saturn is right here, setting that time lump in the sign of Aquarius. This is what this looks like. This is what this energy will be as we move into the upcoming days of this April 8th. And then beyond that, because if I go to the stars here, okay, I'm going to show you that I'm going to go to April 8th. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay. Again, this is the map, the true map of the stars, ladies and gentlemen. This is not going to work with tropical astrology. That is a solar-based astrology. This is Vedic. This is tied to the alignment of the stars and the nakshatras, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see that on April 8th, the sun is in the sign of Pisces. Okay, Aries is over here. Of course, the sun being so bright, yes, it will infiltrate Aries and it will have Aries energy to utilize because the sun is so spread out. Yes. But the fixed stars, no. Now, the big marker is Uranus. So as I move and mesh up the sun into Uranus, I have to go to May, and I have to go, and you can see the Uranus right there with the four prongs. We got to go to May, and right about May 12th, May 13th, the sun is right on top of Uranus, Uranus, in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is where they set up the New York Stock Exchange. Taurus is the Taurus field. Taurus is the bull. The bull represents money. Uranus is the ruler of cryptocurrency. The sun represents gold. Okay? The sun represents gold. So these all move into this area right here. And it will be, I think, let me look at the chart here. It will be my guesstimate, my guess, this is a guess now, this is not a prediction, this is a complete guess, that around the middle of May, you will have the sun and Uranus completely on top of one another at 28 degrees in the sign of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Pisces. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, you got to know I'm not going to go into all this for the sake of time here. The big markers is you have the sun right on top of Uranus, and they are in Aries, and they're not just in Aries, they're in this nakshatra called Kritika, the third nakshatra. And Kritika is the light. Kritika is the knife cutter. Kritika is designed to cut through and establish. And a lot of people think Kritika was the first nakshatra. But it is the bright light. And you have the bright light of the sun on top of Uranus. And Uranus represents electricity. And the electricity is Aquarius. And there's Saturn in the 25th nakshatra. And 25 is cryptocurrency. Okay? During the Bitcoin, the Genesis Block 0, Uranus was right here in the 25th nakshatra. And Saturn, Kronos, was right across the way in the 12th, Uttara Falguni. Right across the way, giving each other energy, but Uranus was right here. During Bitcoin's Genesis Block 0 to set up the timeline for digital currency. Okay. There's so much more to this, but you can start to see. So will anything happen here? Like, will anything monumental happen? I'm not going to say that. Maybe it'll just be another day and we'll just go about our days and nothing will happen. But folks, it's inevitable that massive change is coming down the way for all of us. With the debts and, all these possibilities of cyber attacks and all the things that have been postulated on the world stage. And, these foreign countries, Russia and China, they're not using the dollar anymore. The petrodollar is not what it was. You got massive change coming, folks. You got massive, massive change. Okay? Massive, massive change. So the complete blackout, I was going to get into the cards, but for time's sake, I'm not going to get into too much of this. I just want to show all of you, okay? Because a lot of you have never looked at the cards before, but these card charts, they change every year. And they only go up to the number 90, so you have to go above and beyond the number 90, and you got to figure it out. But for safety's sake here, why I'm showing you spread 110 is because the Federal Reserve is 110 years old. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, this will be washed away and it will be moved into cryptocurrency. And how it's tied into Skull and Bones, because you see, this is the December 23rd card, the 8 of Hearts. Remember, the 8 is what the sun makes. It makes this analemma shape. And when you look at where this 8 of Hearts sits for the Federal Reserve System, you can see that sitting in its space from here, this is the spirit configuration. Don't try to figure this out. I'm just saying these are boilerplate charts, and then you can compare. But the 8 of Hearts sits here, and this is the 23rd card in the deck, matching Bitcoin, another 10, okay? And you can start to see how these cards, if you've been reading and playing with these charts, like I've been showing on the Patreon and showing on my channel over and over and over, I'm not going to go too much into this. Those of you that know how to use this stuff, because this is complicated, and I'm not going to go try to teach people how to do this stuff through this short discourse on this April 8th total solar eclipse. But let me just tell you right now, folks, the 10 of Spades, which is the death card, is sitting right on top of that 8 of Hearts, which is the card for the Federal Reserve. Okay? And this card right here is the card of Bitcoin, the 5 of Spades, which sits in the 8 of Hearts spot right here for the Federal Reserve. They will be replaced by Bitcoin. They will be replaced by cryptocurrency. Now, was it going to be Bitcoin? I'm not going to say that. But I'm just using Bitcoin as the reference because that was the starting point. Okay, that's what this whole thing is all about. This whole bridge collapse is all a reference, because you know what this bridge represents? The sun. It represents the sun. So we have the complete blackout. And when we do the numerology of complete blackout, we get the 67. We bring it into mathematics. And this is how simple it is, ladies and gentlemen. 67 is the 19th prime number. 19 is a prime number. It's the 8th prime number. And the 19th card in the tarot is the sun. The sun makes this analemma shape as it moves through the calendar months. The number 8. The Federal Reserve has the 8 of Hearts. You starting to see this? That's how important these cards are. They're massively important. You just got to know how to read them. But this is how you properly decode using the primes. You go as far as you can. 8 is not a prime number, so you would stop there. But the 8 is the Taurus field. It's the infinity symbol, and it's the analemma, tied to the sun, tied to the moon, right here. That's why the markets go up and down according to the moon, etc., etc. All these celestials. Notice that the Scorpions album called Blackout, it was their 8th studio album. The 8th studio album. So you would have to go all the way back and talk, and now we'd have to bring in all the band members, and they'd have to be in on the conspiracy. 42 years ago to be part of what I'm showing you right here. They'd all have to be in on it. That's impossible. Too many moving parts, too many people to get involved in the conspiracy, especially the simplicity of this. The 8th studio album, tied to the number 19. 19 is tied to the sun card. 67 is the 19th prime. Complete blackout. We have a complete blackout with this ship. Why this bridge? The Francis Key Scott Bridge. Why that? Okay, I'm going to come back to these right here in just a minute, but let me show you the bridge. Okay, this album came out on March 29th. The 29. The 29 is tied to this card right here, the 3 of diamonds. And what I have right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a 13 calendar month, taking a picture of the sun as it's rising or setting, exactly on the same day at the same time. Starting in December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You got to do 13 months to get it up, and you can see the boomerang, and you know what this is right here, right? That's RNA, otherwise known as ribonucleic acid. This is where Adam and then Eve was taken from a rib of Adam being tied to the sun, which is tied to light. Why is this so significant? And it's tied to when this album came out, the 29th. Why this? Because it's tied to ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid in its single digit numerology is 2 and 9. That's 29. That's this. Think about what I'm showing you. Blackout. There are the glasses to use to look at the sun. Came out on March 29th. Ribonucleic acid is 29. And this is what ribonucleic acid looks like, a vector of it, and it fits right over. It fits right over the top of that sun pattern right there. I can rest assured, I can tell you folks, this is it, man. This is not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The sun represents ribonucleic acid, and we have deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay? That's what this whole thing's all about. The sun, and where the bridge comes into this is right here. The collapsing of the bridge was the collapsing of the RNA, and it's the story is the sun being collapsed down into cryptocurrency, and all the energy that this right here is the Francis Key Scott Bridge. What do you see right there? You see this. This is also the Golden Gate Bridge. That's why it's called the Golden Gate. Fits all in there. You can't miss it, folks. I covered this in my Superstar Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. I've covered it in other decodes as well. But this is tied right to the bridge. Okay? Tied right to the bridge. And this is what the sun makes when you connect it into a cycle of 2. You have 25 months here. It forms the W. It forms the letter M. It forms the dragon wave. This is the pendulum going back and forth. It forms the letter S. S is the 19th letter in the English alphabet. The 19th card is the sun card. And in theology, it says the Lord God is a sun and a shield. What do you think the sun and shield is, ladies and gentlemen? This. The sun and shield are the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon. So what this is saying is that the Lord God is the sun and the moon in theology. That's what this says right here. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. It's really simple. You study nature. This is the patterns of nature. Here's the dragon wave. The great dragon got hurled down. It's right there. Well, this whole thing was all about the destruction of the RNA. And this is where you're going to get what's been happening on the world stage for the past 3 years with that whole thing that's gone on. You guys all and gals and all know all about that. That plays right into this. The RNA and the DNA. Ribonucleic acid is the bridge. The bridge collapses. This is all part of this. Symbolic. Okay? The sun coming down and moving into crypto. The sun is gold. Okay? Cryptocurrency is going to be gold currency. I bring mainstream into this. Besides the Scorpions, big shout out to my friend Joe. He's the one who said, hey, don't forget about the song The Blackout by U2. I'm glad he did. So this is how ridiculously scripted our reality is, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this? Here are the lyrics for this song called The Blackout off their 2017 album. And so, of course, I copied and pasted all the way down to where he says, for the first time, The Blackout. Here it is, right there. And here's how many letters and words there are. 479 letters and 124 words. And what time did the ship suffer a complete blackout? At 1:24 a.m. 124 words, where that word blackout first appears. So now we'd have to bring U2 into this big conspiracy and their 2017 album, which was 7 years prior to this bridge collapse, to make all this stuff work. Then they would have to implement all these lyrics written and sang on the album. The 124. What about that 479? It's tied to the World Economic Forum. Oh yeah, certainly is. 479, the total amount of letters for this song called The Blackout. When Bono first says The Blackout, 479 is the 92nd prime number. And right on that magazine cover in 1988 it says, get ready for a world currency. That's a number 92, which just coincidentally matches Klaus Schwab's full birth certificate name with his mother's maiden name on the back end, 92. You don't have to like these people, but I can assure you, I can tell you right now, this guy is not in control of his life. He is being used just like everybody else. Yeah, he may have a pretty big position on the world stage. You may not like his position, but he's being used just like you're being used, just like I'm being used. And the messages are very crystal clear of what's coming. The death of fiat currency and the institution of cryptocurrency, whatever that's going to look like. And it's not going to be overnight. I don't think so anyway. But what's with the 92? Why U2? The drummer was 14 years old, the story of it. 14 years old when he first asked to form a band at the school he was at. And here's the clue. Here's the clue. U and 2. Go right to chemistry. Here's the U. Uranium, Uranus, Uranus, uranium, which is going to be the ruler of Aquarius, which is the cryptocurrency age. And then the number 2 is helium, and helium is tied to the sun. So you have the sun, and this is Jesus right here, by the way. Those of you that have been putting your faith in Jesus, all you've been doing is promulgating the upcoming age of Aquarius, which is the age of cryptocurrency. Nothing wrong with it. You don't have to get mad at me for it, but don't dismiss what I'm telling you if you haven't done the research. It's uranium and helium right there. And the numerology of it is that 49. You guys and gals remember what that 49 was tied to? Go all the way back up here. Tied to this. This is the 49th card in the Cards of Illumination. Card number 60, tied to Skull and Bones. Which is, where was it at? Right there. So you have uranium and helium. You have Uranus, which represents heaven, and you have helium, which represents the sun. Okay? The sun. So you could say we have the Father and the Son here, perhaps, because uranium in Greek mythology, Uranus is the one that mated with Gaia, which is Earth, and they gave all birth to the offspring, which were all the planetary positions. So you could say uranium and Uranus is the father of everything. Okay, you could say that. But now you know what U2 is. Uranium and helium. Uranium and helium. So this is what this whole thing looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Now you're seeing it. And I have a decode coming out in the World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum equals 84. Uranium or Uranus has an 84-year orbital period. World Economic Forum is 84. Uranium has an 84-year orbital period. Uranium is going to be the energy that is going to rule the age of Aquarius and the age of cryptocurrency. Okay? That's what the code shows. And that's why Uranus and Jupiter, grandson and grandfather, are right here, setting it up. And they're in Aries, which is fire and Mars, and the takedown of fiat currency for good. Okay? The last thing I'll show you, this is kind of maybe for advanced decoders. I'm going to go back to the Scorpions song called Blackout. Those of you that are fans of Jason Bashir's and Archaics, he's big on the Phoenix event and the 138. Well, how crazy is this through numerology? Here are the lyrics for the song Blackout for the Scorpions. The very first time that he says Blackout is right there, and you do the numerology of it, and you get the 1038. That's the 138, ladies and gentlemen. So now you'd have to say the Scorpions are all in this big conspiracy, which is tied to the Phoenix event. Okay? And the 138, which I showed many times, is tied to this element called barium. And barium is tied to the Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. The Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. And the Ka is potassium, which is the 19th element, which is the sun. The Ra, the Ba, and the Ka. You know, you get into Egyptian stuff. Okay? And this 56, just so we can be very crystal clear, is tied to this. Big shout out to my friend Roland. You see that Chaldean lights, camera, action? 56. Okay? The Phoenix is tied to lights. You're in a movie, folks. That's why I wore the sunglasses at the beginning. You're inside of a movie, man. You're being watched. And no one gets a hall pass on being controlled. Nobody. That's why I have a big decode coming out on this. And I will show with absolute certainty, with all the support that I can bring in from many different layers, that each and every one of you is a non-player character. I know that's going to ruffle your feathers. Some of you are going to get pissed. You're not going to accept it. You're going to say I'm an idiot. Well, don't dismiss what I'm going to show with this. See, non-player character means you're not in control of your mind. That's what non-player character means. Okay. Let's take some of your comments now. That was the presentation. That was the presentation. And, you know, again, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the big takeaways for this presentation are the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Cups. You know, this card right here is the card of September 27th, which is the Society of Jesus. The Society of Jesus, their founding date, September 27th, 1540, Ten of Cups, and then you have Skull and Bones being tied to the Ten of Swords. There you go. And I know, like you say, yeah, see, they're running this. No, they're not running shit. That's not what the research shows. First, it was World Wrestling Federation Wrestling. That was scripted. Now, you know, now it's sports. Everybody knows sports are scripted. The next big thing is that mankind is scripted. Our entire reality is scripted. The whole thing. Many people are not going to accept that. Many people can't accept that. You can't accept it. I get it. I totally get it. Why you would want to refute that. When I was a kid and I was growing up, I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. Randy Macho Man Savage, The Ultimate Warrior, all these wrestlers I was a big fan of. And I was so bummed when I had to finally take on the decision that it was fake. It was not real. I mean, they really get out there and do it. They really get injured and all that, but it was all staged. That was like the bummer for me as a kid. And then, you know, many years ago, I knew, you could see sports, professional sports and college and all, they're all rigged. The whole thing is rigged. And that's obvious now that's coming out. But now the big layer is that this entire reality, your life is rigged. You live through a set of predestined scripts. And your life is merely a reality show. And I got reminded of that just the other day when Mercury was in retrograde. I had one hell of a day. And you see, it was trying to harvest my energy. I know it. I had one hell of a day. And I was like, you know, I had to catch a flight. And I was, you know, when you're late to catch a flight and you're running through the airport, and I'm laughing because I'm like, whatever's watching me is getting, they're getting a show. Because I'm sweating trying to get to my this, and it's just a big show. And it throws one curveball at the other and wants to see how you react. And the reaction is where the comedy comes in. It's just pretty funny. And I know a lot of you, most of you, if not all of you, can relate to what I'm saying here. I'm not gonna. So I should sell my Bitcoin. I'm not a financial advisor. This information was not designed to give you any. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your personal life, with anything that you do. All I will tell you is that it doesn't matter, folks. You're exactly where you need to be right now. There are no accidents. Everything happens for a reason. I know everybody who believes that. You probably said it at one point in your life. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah, that's because you have a scripted reality you're living through. That's why it happens. So you don't have to try to go figure it out. Just go enjoy your life. Enjoy the show. Try to be observant of your reality instead of reacting without thinking. Pip says, the Matrix says you've already made the choice. You're here to understand why. Exactly. Again, folks, so you're going to see, man, the big reveal is that you're inside of a scripted reality. That to me, in my opinion, obviously it's my opinion, is that the big reveal will show that you're living out a predestined scripted reality. I mean, I've shown this hundreds and hundreds of videos supporting that. Band members, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, all these people, they did not have a choice. They came together because they were supposed to come together. Not everybody has a good character. Done serial killers. Ted Bundy, the serial killer, didn't have a choice. Some of you say, no, he had a choice. Not what the astrology chart says. Nope. Not what it says. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you for the April 8th solar eclipse. And just enjoy the show. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen with or without your consent. It's already scripted out, played out the way it's. So you just enjoy the show. And to me, like a lot of people say, well, what should I do? Study yourself. Study your kids. If you got kids, study your kids so you can see how they're scripted. And I know some of you say, well, what's the point that if it's scripted, then why would I want to do that? Well, if you feel the urge to do it, that's part of your script. If you do it, it was part of your script. If you don't do it, that was part of your script. That's the simple answer. Aaron G, you seem like you're the person who doesn't understand this information. You don't. I get that you don't understand this information. That's okay. Not everybody will understand this. And I want to be very crystal clear. I'm not better than anybody here. I'm not saying that you're wrong. Everybody living in this chat room, everybody watching this video, you are right. In your reality, it is your screenplay. It is your life. And you may just be, just like everybody else, creating your own fractal to live through, and that just might be the final answer in all of this kind of stuff. I'm not here to twist your arm. I'm not here I'm not using any force. I'm merely going to dump out and continually dump out the source code that I've been shown with all these easy connections to show that we live inside of a screenplay. You live inside of a movie. And I'm certainly not the first person to say these things. This has been told for a very, very long time. Okay? Very, very long time. And I get asked a lot, do you think we have free will? If we have any free will, ladies and gentlemen, it's very minimal. Very minimal. Super minimal. If we have any at all. It's very minimal. That is where my research leads me to. That is what has been shown. That is my final answer. And until I can see otherwise, because I continually have my life being scripted to this day. And I don't belong to any organization. I'm not an agent. I don't belong to any organization whatsoever. I don't belong to any club. It's just me, myself, and I, and the voice in my head. And I've been continually shown this script over and over and over through a lot of different layers of my reality. And of course, again, if I'm not part of an organization, I don't belong to any club, what's running my life? How is my life scripted? I'm no different than any of you. I'm no better than any of you. I don't have it all figured out. I don't have all the answers. I have mine. I have my answers to show you. And again, it's not for everybody. I don't want it to be for everybody. There's not a one size fits all, and there's no cookie cutter way to what you would consider salvation. Okay? Here's a good point. Captain Flatastic says, I don't think diseases were part of the script. I do think that part is random. Okay, so here's something to consider on that, okay? And I've covered this before, so consider this. Consider the biology of the body. Inside your body right now, you have an immune system. You have white blood cells, et cetera, et cetera. And the job of the white blood cells, the job of the immune system that you have, that I have, that everybody has, and the way it's coded is that when there are foreign invaders that come into the body, pathogens, bacteria, viruses, fungi, et cetera, when they come into the body, the immune system immediately, without asking your permission, starts to go after and remove and attack those foreign invaders. That's the way the immune system is set up. Okay, so the question is, what created the immune system? Well, a large portion of you would say, well, God did. Okay, fair enough. Let's go with God. So God created the immune system. Okay, well, what did God create the immune system for? Well, what is the immune system designed for? To attack and remove the foreign invaders. So if God created the immune system to attack foreign invaders, then God would have known that the foreign invaders were going to attack. And then, of course, you'd say, well, what created the foreign invaders? What created the pathogens, the bacteria, the fungi, the parasites? What created those? Well, the obvious answer is God, because it'd be crazy to think, well, the devil created parasites and pathogens. And come on. Then God would have never created the immune system, because God is all-knowing, omnipresent, omniscience. So God would have known that there was going to be invaders, which is why it created the immune system, to protect the biology of the body. Common sense stuff. So if you think it's just random, well, consider what I'm suggesting here to you. If you're going to just say it's God. If you're going to say it's not God, well, then we have to talk about a different story. Coincidence theorists talking about, yeah, Jay Dreamers, he's awesome. I'm probably going to do another podcast with him and Tommy and company. See something, say something says, so when people have talent in something and they follow their talent and become known for it, was it already predestined, or did they work for it as they thought they worked for it, but it was already predestined? Can you create a clone? Is there that possibility? Can clones be created, and can you harvest the clone? Of course, but then I would just go right back to the creation of the clone was part of the script. That's what I go back to. MH says AIX is God. Artificial, and that's something from Bashir's AIX, Artificial Intelligence X, which I showed that completely what that was and how it was tied to, and it may be tied to Saturn and Kronos and the black sun. Mark Harris says, I have no thought because I am not riddled with unclean spirits as you clearly are. Why would you say that, Mark? I don't know if you're even pondering. I don't know if you're asking me that. Are you asking me that question? Or are you stating that with me? And how would you make that determination? I love how I get judged here. I'm glad you got it. If you're pointing it to me, Mark, I'm glad you got it all figured out, and you're the head honcho, and you're blame free, and your life's amazing. And there's nothing wrong with you. So funny. Some of you people are funny, man. The finger pointers, the judgers are the worst kinds. See something, say something. If you're interested in the cloning, or anybody interested in the cloning, go into my catalog of videos and type in cloning decoded. Covered that. That's all tied to the underground aliens. And Jason Bashirs and I did a podcast on to talk about underground aliens, Area 51. Broke all that down in Bashirs. I broke all that down in his Decode AIX, Archaics Decoded. Broke all that stuff down with him. Grant Bishop says, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Yeah, that was a quote that was I got from my buddy Johnny. And I love that quote. I love that quote. So how's Santos doing? He is, last time I talked to him, which was last week, he's doing good. He's actually doing good. Grant Bishop, okay, so some of you are asking, let me show all of you. Hold on, let me get my cursor out here. So if you go to the, oh, that's not it. Occupies digit 960. If you go to my channel here, and if you click on the hourglass here and you type in like clone, I think it'll probably pop up. Maybe it won't. Some of the stuff it gets, I don't know if it gets hidden or what. Let's see. There's the cloning right here. Let's talk about cloning. This was a fun one. And then Jason and I did a decode on the underground aliens, which was right here. This one. This was a really good conversation that him and I had. So that was a lot of fun. So there's those. Space Monkey Mafia is asking about, will it be harmful or helpful to be outside looking up at the eclipse? I won't be doing it. Just my personal preference. I'll just be hanging out inside. I'm not going to be a part of that. But you got to do with whatever you feel is best. Yeah, say something. See, I did. Also done. I did an Area 51 decoded, which probably I'm not going to find it because I tell you, these things get hidden. I don't know how the hell they get hidden, but they get hidden. There it is. Area 51. I decoded Area 51. Bob Lazar. He talks about Moscovium. I broke it all down. I know this information in here is probably stuff you've never seen before on Area 51 because I bring the elements of the periodic table. We bring in the elements of the periodic table into this. And he talks about Moscovium 115, which makes UFO travel possible, and the longitude of Area 51. This is how scripted this is, right? There's the longitude of Area 51, 115. The protons of Moscovium is 115. This is what Bob Lazar talks about in Area 51 is Moscovium. So what's the coincidence here? You think this is an accident? No way, man. This is called Groom Lake. Folks, our origins may be all from underground aliens and the Prometheus and the engineers and the whole shebang. I don't exclude that because it's very possible that is something to take into consideration. And, you know, it's really fascinating that I'm saying that because today is the Two of Spades Day, which is card number 41, and Elohim is 41, Moscovium is 41, Paradise Ranch is 41, all in numerology. So there's that. That's Fact says, you think this is a joke? Yes, I do. Absolutely, this reality is a joke. And I don't believe in death physically because you just go on, so I don't care. Don't care. So I do think it's a joke. Just like your comment. David Smith, do I believe in heaven and hell? I think they're all concepts. My last names, both my last names equal heaven and hell in numerology. Just yin yang. They're concepts. Grant Bishop, I don't know if you're asking me about Star Trek. The very first episode of Star Trek, which wasn't even the first episode of Star Trek, but it was the very first aired episode of Star Trek, was about a salt sucker. And it was a female, and it kills the crew members. Salt, sodium, battery. You just got to go to the periodic table, folks. It gives you so many freaking clues, man. The periodic table will give you all the clues you need. I'm telling you, when you reference mainstream, the cards, tarot, you go to the periodic table, you get all the clues and all the information you'll ever need in that. Big shout out to the Royal Society of Chemistry, because I'm a big fan of chemistry. Because I never even studied it in science, but because of decoding, it's delivered so many truth bombs for me. It's ridiculous. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up, be a little short. Let me get a couple tarot cards. Those of you that stuck around, thanks each and every one of you for joining in tonight, listening to this, sharing it. Appreciate each and every one of you. You know, again, I'm sending a ton of love to all of you, whether you agree or not, whether or not it's something for you. That's totally cool. Like, you came here, you're listening, so you're here. Like, you didn't sign off, but some of you may have signed off already. That you're not even going to hear that. But look, your life is your life. My life is my life. You're the star of the show. I'm the star of the show. But we're stars, co-stars. You know, so they don't have to necessarily match up, and that's totally fine. This channel's not for everybody. Samantha says, why did God bring us here just to die? I'm not a fan of death. Even though I'm not afraid of it. I don't like watching things get old that you're fond of. Like, if you have a pet and you got to watch your pet grow old, it's not fun. And that part I don't understand. But I can tell you that our reality is based on harvesting energy. So when you get sad, your energy gets harvested. When you get angry, your energy gets harvested. When you get happy, your energy gets harvested. When you bust one in the bedroom, your energy gets harvested. When you fall in love and you get oxytocin running through, your energy gets harvested. All of it. It's all a harvesting experience in this reality. Our entire reality is being harvested for its energy. The whole thing. All right, so let's pull a couple tarot cards and we'll wrap this thing up for the night. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Really been a fun time for this. I hope you got something out of this. You can see how ridiculously scripted this reality is. Okay. Kim Turner says, first time here. Did you hear I say tarot cards can't go to heaven doing that? Do you want me to show you the tarot card that's linked to heaven, Tina or Kim? Would you like me to show you the tarot card that's linked to God? The entire Bible is astrology, which is tarot, which is numerology. There is no difference. They're all connected, and it's all owned by one big boss. There's only good and bad because you say so. That's what the research shows. Not an opinion, but research shows that. This is probably not going to be the channel for you. So do I use tarot? Abso-freaking-lutely. I use it to decode from. I use it to get nuggets from. I can have a conversation with this deck of cards and it tells me everything I need to know. It's beautiful. Already logged off. I love it. That's satanic, I know. The tarot cards are satanic. They don't even know what Satan means. People love saying, oh, it's this, it's that, but they don't even know what Satan means. Okay. It's just God anyway, but whatever. Okay. So let's pull some satanic tarot cards. Let's see. We'll get a few messages here for all of you great decoders. Okay, let me. All right. So let's get some messages here for this. Let's talk about the solar eclipse. What the hell's going on? How's it going to look? Yada yada. Look at the bottom of the deck. The Fool. The notorious bottom of the deck. It's the Fool card. I guess that'd be the first message. Be a fool. What does the Fool mean? Just take chances, take risks. See, once you know that your life is scripted and it's already predestined, do you have any wiggle room? Do we have any free will? I like to think so, but I think it's all just an illusion anyway. There's no winning this game. Even though I have Prison Plan how to win the game of life, I don't think there's any winning. And if there is a way to win it and you're designed to win the game, then you'll win the game. If there is such a thing. All right, first card, besides the Fool at the bottom, for this total solar eclipse is the Dreamer. Life is but a dream. This is card number 54. This is tied to the word phosphorus. This is also tied to Jupiter, Zeus. Is Zeus just having a dream? Why does Zeus have the great red spot? Is that the all-seeing eye looking at us? It's the biggest planet in the canopy. I know somebody say, well, it's not real. Well, tons of amateur astronomers plop their telescope, they look at it, and there it is. Well, it's all just a projection. Well, how are you to prove that? Besides an opinion of saying it's not real, you have nothing to base it on. So there's that. I'm not saying you're wrong, though. I'm just being that kind of advocate here, like the devil's advocate. Like, you can't prove or support that it's just a projection. Anyway, I'm just having fun, but tied to Zeus, tied to phosphorus, tied to Lucifer, the dreamer, asleep. Life is but a dream. This is tied to card number 43, tied to Hollywood. The next card for the total solar eclipse. Besides the dreamer, we have the dreamer, and now what do we have besides the dreamer? We have, the beautiful Six of Cups, card 42. This is tied to Jesus. This is tied to you as a human being. This is you having the Jesus Christ superstar experience. You are all Jesus. If you fancy that character, and your cross is your screenplay. It's that simple. Six of Cups is nostalgia, going back. So this is saying right here, like the message maybe for this upcoming solar eclipse is, what's your dream? What's your dream? And then, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, you got to think about it. You got to let me think about it. Let me go do some creative visualization. Let me go dream about it. That's that Four of Swords. Okay. All right, next card for this total solar eclipse. Four of Swords, Six of Cups, and We have the very satanic. I'm just having fun, ladies and gentlemen. We have the 69th card in the deck. It is the 5 of Pentacles. It is tough times. This is the game of life. This card, if you see in the background, there's a church. And the contrast for this card is the people are in the snow and one's on crutches and the lady's, kind of like homeless. The contrast is go into the church to be saved from the cold. This is card number 69, 68 or 69, tied to the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Diamonds, card 31. But we now have kind of like going back to nostalgia, the dreamer, what's your dream? And then we have the 5 of Pentacles, card 68 or 69, which can be tough times, challenging times. Well, let's see what the next card is. The next card for total solar eclipse, April 8th, shall be the 3 of Cups, celebration. Woohoo! Celebration. This is a card of reincarnation, by the way. This is card number 38 or 39. This is tied to leave the world behind, so it is a celebration card. So we have the dreamer, nostalgia, the game of life, and the possibility of tough times. I like to look at these cards in liability and asset position. So the liability of this card is, it's tough times ahead. But the asset part is that you have a choice there to make yourself better. Stay outside or go inside. Okay? The yin yang. And then we have the 3 of Cups, the celebration. So what are we celebrating here? What's being celebrated? The harvest? What are we being harvested for? What is this whole simulation all about? But what is the next card for this total solar eclipse? From the card, the satanic cards, as somebody, so satanic. I'm not going to go to heaven now because I'm using cards that are from the satanic aspect. Heaven's 27 in numerology, religion's 27 in numerology, thalamus, which is your brain, is 27 in numerology, sports is 27 in numerology, Jupiter's 27 in numerology. You're in a dream, folks. It's not even real. This reality is not even real. So is satanic real? No. Part of the dream. But anyway, let's get the next card. All over the place. Total solar eclipse, April 8th. The 5th card is the mighty King of Wands. Card number 36. Phoenix is 36. Already showed that, right? 2020, this is tied to 2024. This is mental mastery, the King of Wands. This card right here is tied to September 11th. The September 11th card is the King of Clubs. This is the King of Clubs, the King of Wands. This is card 36. Card 35/36. 36 being tied to the word Phoenix. So we have the celebration, and we have the master of the mental realm behind that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get 2 more to get a full complete 7. And I'll just do my best to interpret those. Maybe get the numbers and take a look at those. But let's get the next card in line here. The next card in line is the futurist. It's the card of Elon Musk. It's the card of Philip K. Dick. You know who Philip K. Dick is? He wrote The Minority Report, amongst other books that were made into movies. This is the card of the futurist. This is card number 23/24. This is the card of Elon Musk. Why Elon Musk, and what does it have to do with the future? Well, he's creating the future through how he and his code is designed for. Are we moving towards a perfected society? That's the question. How would you move towards a perfected society? How would you prevent crime? Technology. That's how you'd prevent crime, through the advancement of technology. Being able to prevent it before it ever happens through technology, which I have a feeling is going to be involving astrology, numerology, all the things that we're doing as decoders. When you start to plot these into if you had a complete system, which I got some friends creating some platforms that do just that, you plop all these amazing systems and it gives you an outcome. That is a simulation, and that is allowing you to foretell what's going to happen in the future days. That is Minority Report. Well, that's Elon Musk and Philip K. Dick. The future of mankind right here. And then we have, for the last and final card for this April 8th, 2024, upcoming total solar eclipse, card number 7 is The Queen of Cups. Wow, the counterpart to the Ten of Spades. This is the card in NASA. Wah, wah, wah. I know some of you, oh my God, NASA. No, you guys aren't cheering NASA, I know. But folks, if you cannot judge that organization, it's just doing its job. That's it. I don't even pay attention to it. Don't care. They don't pay my bills. So why would I give you any money towards you? And that's prana. I don't care. You do whatever you want to do. But that's the card of NASA right there, the Queen of Cups, founded on the 29th of July. Queen of Cups is the Queen of Dreams. See, NASA's trying to get you to buy into their dream. They may be trying to get your energy to create their dream. What's your dream? We had the beginning of it. What's your dream? And we have the ending of it. What's your dream? The Queen of Cups, the Queen of Wonderland. So the message here is pretty crystal clear. We have the dreamer. What do you want? We have nostalgia. Going back to being a kid. Are we going to have horse and buggy days again? We have tough times. Or the possibility of making a choice on what it is you want to do. We have celebration. What are we going to celebrate? With the Three of Cups, rejoicing. Some of you probably need to get out and celebrate because you're too much of a hermit and you're too much of a stick in the mud. Your stick is way high up in your ass. Then we have the King of Wands. This has been coming out a lot during my readings. And this is mental mastery. So the overseer of this in the 5th position, which is the mouth chakra. And in the 3rd eye position, the 6th card, we had the futurist. What does the future look like? Well, at the very end, the future looks like the dreamer. And I will leave all of you with, the song by Black Sabbath. And the song by Black Sabbath, the specific one that I'm talking about is Heaven and Hell. And in the beginning of that, Ronnie James Dio, the late singer of Black Sabbath, he said, the world is full of kings and queens who will blind your eyes and steal your dreams. It's heaven and hell. The world is full of kings and queens. This is the Queen of Dreams. If you have this as your birth card, man, you're a dreamer. You're a manifester of dreams. The Queen of Hearts. That's your birth card. It's in the crown position. So we have the dreamer with the futurist right next to it. So this is a very powerful combination right here. And are we going, I've already said that human beings, all of them we're all non-player characters. I know that ruffled some feathers, and I know some people hated me for that. And that's just because you're having a reaction versus it means you're not in control of your emotions if you get emotionally involved with something that I said. You're not in control of your emotions. Part of your script until you do get involved with it. But that's just my opinion on that. But the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, is are we going to have any relief from being a non-player character? That's the question. Are we going to have any relief from that? Will we ever have full control if what I'm saying is true? If what I'm saying is true and we're all non-player characters, are we ever going to get any relief from that? Maybe. Right? Maybe the veil will be lifted. Maybe things will be brought down and cut out and we will have control again. I don't know. But as it stands right now, let me add these cards up and we'll call it a night. But as it stands right now, currently my life is still scripted. And again, I will make it very crystal clear to all of you. I'm not an agent. I don't work for any organization. I'm an outlaw. I'm a rebel, man. It's just me, myself, and I. I'm a minimalist. I belong to nobody. And I like it that way. But yet my life is continually scripted. And it's so scripted right now, I would blow your mind with what I could show you. I have a very big decode coming out for my Patreons called 404 not found. 404 not found. You know that error code in the computer when you get 404 not found? Well, I had something happen to me a few days ago when I was decoding that absolutely would blow your mind. In real time, it happened to me. And I have all the documentation to support what I'm going to show you. That I was literally communicating with whatever's controlling me. It was communicating with me straight up directly. It was insane. And some of you can attest to that because it's happened to you. All right, let me just get these cards added up. $312. 132. Okay, nothing off the top of my head, but so that's what I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. The dream is going to change. The future is going to change. That doesn't need any interpretation for me, but I think the very beginning card was pretty amazing here. This Four of Swords. How big this is. I tell you what, this is so big. This card, so big. Card 43, so freaking big, and it's a 4. The 4s, 4 blood types. 4 corners of the earth, 4 seasons. 4 is big. These 4s are really, really big. That 4 of Swords being card number 54, 54 being tied to Zeus, the numerology of Zeus. Remember, in They Live, News Station 54 was the hypnotics. There was the station broadcasting the hypnotic trance. Obey, consume. That was this. News Station 54, this is card 54, in They Live, which I'm watching again, was broadcasting a hypnotic trance that you couldn't see, feel, taste, or touch, and it was telling you to obey, consume, don't ask questions, get in line, yada, yada, yada. And Roddy Piper goes up on the roof and destroys the signal. Well, this is tied to the signal, so think about it. You're asleep. This is tied to News Station 54, and They Live, and John Carpenter. Did John Carpenter know that this is the 54th card in the deck and that's why they chose the News Station 54 to keep you in a hypnotic trance, showing that you're somebody who's asleep? Maybe. But the 54 is tied to Zeus, which just so happens to be the largest planet in the canopy. Huh. Really interesting. But what's your dream? That's the question. What is your dream moving forward? What does it look like for you? That's the question. Forget about what I'm telling you. Forget about being used. Forget about anybody else around you. What is it that you want? What do you want to be when you grow up? That's the question. What do you want? All right. So we're going to wrap this one up, and let's see. I got to figure out what it is that I want to play. I know what I'll do. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call this. I'm going to wrap this one up. Thanks each and every one of you for joining in during this broadcast. You are greatly, greatly appreciated. Here is a cover version of Blackout by the Scorpions. And the most fitting song to play, right? Because we are going to have a blackout on Monday, April 8th. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan, Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.